This is absolutely ridiculous. As we know, the New York Rangers are going to be making significant moves this offseason. A writer has suggested that one team in particular has emerged as frontrunners to acquire one of the Rangers' star players this offseason. We're going to break down who this player is, what team it is, and why this has serious implications for the Rangers heading into next season if they hope to compete once again. We're going to break it all down on this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 74% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers, this is the place to be for all your daily New York Rangers news. So go down below, hit that free subscribe button, and again, you get to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the Rangers. Now, like I said off the top, we know that Chris Drury is going to be very busy this offseason trying to rebuild the defense core, but there's something else he needs to do as well, and that is clear out salary cap, and probably a significant amount of that in either Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad. And today, a writer has suggested a very interesting proposal, and this is from Hunter Bowman. And the New York Rangers are looking to obviously shed salary cap, and the Montreal Canadiens have emerged as a serious candidate to acquire a New York Rangers star player, and that is Mika Zibanejad. And I think this is very interesting. Hunter goes on to say that the New York Rangers are looking to reshape their identity, and that means core pieces could be moved. Now, I just want to say here that I do think this offseason, it's much more likely that, and I think this is a no-brainer, honestly, that Chris Kreider will be moved over Mika Zibanejad. Chris Kreider, a little bit older. He doesn't, it doesn't free up as much salary cap space, but I could see a contender wanting him, or even a team that's on the way up wanting his services. It seems to me like he quit on the team last year, especially, halfway through the season. And it just seems like mutually they want to, come apart here. So obviously this is about Mika Zibanejad, so we'll focus on that. But this offseason, I do think it's more likely that Chris Kreider gets traded. But in terms of Mika Zibanejad, that is another option too. He has a no movement clause, but maybe if he wants a change of scenery and if it works for him, they can make a trade work. And the Montreal Canadiens could use another centerman. So, and they've always really needed another centerman, so they could still use one. Now, as an early exit, obviously in this year's playoffs, GM Kent Hughes knows he needs more help, especially down the middle, given how often Kirby Dach is injured, and Kirby Dach, somebody we'll touch on in this episode as well. But in addition, Mika Zibanejad, he'd make it a great addition to that team, the center core. But if you do trade him away, if you're the New York Rangers, you need to shore up your center depth. You would need to get a center. So I don't know how much salary you're really saving at the end of the day, especially if you retain salary, because the rumor out there is if the Rangers were to trade Mika Zibanejad, they have to hold on to at least $2 million of that they would have to retain to make that work for pretty much any team around the league, which is not ideal. And Zibanejad didn't have a great start to the season, but he had a pretty good end of the season. We'll talk about that as well. But yes, a fresh start could help Zibanejad. Obviously, Chris Drury wants to free up salary cap space. He wants assets in return. I'm not sure how much he would get, but in freeing up, if you retain even $2 million, you free up $6.5 million. You can do a lot with that. It's the same as Kreider's cap hit as well. So that's something to consider, that's for sure. And if you look at the Rangers lineup, again, like I said, this one has Zibanejad up the middle on the third line. He played a lot better as a winger down the stretch this season, but Gabe Perreault's up there now. We don't even know if he's going to make the team out of camp. Again, a lot of that is up in the air, but Zibanejad is your third line center for $8.5 million. When you have Trocheck slotted in as the first line or second line center, now you have JT Miller at $8 million as well. That is tough. That is tough. I think they're going to have to make a move there, or he moves to the wing, right? And he was playing very well on the wing. So we'll see. The Montreal Canadiens, though, it's an interesting idea. I mean, if you look at the Rangers' projected cap next season, right now it's at about $8.4 million. They still need to sign Keandre Miller, Matt Rempe, Adam Edstrom, just to name a few. So there is some work still to be done. If you look at the Montreal Canadiens cap, they could afford right now Mika Zibanejad if they wanted to. They can move some money out if they wanted to. Again, some salary would probably either be retained or moving back the other way. So it wouldn't be freeing up all $8.5 million. So is it even worth it at this point if you're not getting rid of the entire salary to free up that space to go out and get a real difference maker? I don't know. Maybe you do hold on to Zibanejad. Kreider, on the other hand, I'm not too sure about that at this point. But if you look up and down the lineup of the Montreal Canadiens, who do you want? Who do you want from this team? Who are they willing to give up? Nothing really jumps off the page at me. I think you're going to need a center anyway. do the Montreal Canadiens even want to trade Kirby Dach? He's dealt with a lot of injuries. He only makes $3.3 million on his current contract. But again, he's injured all the time. Would you want to take that on if you're the Rangers? I don't know if that's the case really, but it's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing. And again, if you look at Zibanejad, in 25 games this season when he played right wing, which most of it was on the right wing of JT Miller, he had 21 or 28 points in those 25 games. He was over a point a game player at one point this year when he was playing on the wing. So maybe at this point in his career, he's a winger. He's a very expensive winger, I'll say that. And obviously the salary cap is going up, but it's still a lot of money for a guy producing, whatever it was, like 65 points this year. Obviously not great, but if we take a look at his stats this year, 62 points on the year in 82 games. And again, he's getting up there in age. His plus minus was absolutely horrendous last season. So it's something that I think the Rangers are going to at least discuss this offseason, take a look at. But if you trade off of him, if you move off of him, you're going to have to, I think, get a center in there. Again, we don't know what's going to happen with Gabe Perreault. Best case scenario, you might be okay with center depth, moving off of Mika Zibanejad. But then on the wings, if Gabe Perreault doesn't end up making this team out of camp or some weird stuff goes on, you could be in some trouble. And there is no guarantee at this point that Gabe Perreault is going to make the NHL, first of all. And if he does, put up crazy points to start. Like, he didn't really do that in the games he got into. Obviously, I think he was mismanaged from the start again, which the Rangers organization loves to do with their prospects, but it's something interesting to consider. If you look at Kirby Dach, I don't know if I'd want this player back, to be honest. His plus minus was absolutely horrendous this season as well, worse than Mika Zibanejad's. He didn't play much. He obviously, in terms of time on ice, on average, but in terms of actually playing, doesn't play that much either because he missed all of last season with injury, missed time this season with injury. He's only 24, so I don't know if you want a player like this, only 22 points in 57 games, so that just wouldn't work for me. And again, you might be okay trading Mika Zibanejad and not acquiring any center depth, but if you're going to free up that salary cap space, you have to use that on either a defenseman or maybe another difference-making center, right? Because Trocheck makes $5 million, and he could be maybe a third-line center going forward. I don't know if that makes any sense, really, so it's going to be interesting. What they need, though, is salary cap space to sign a defenseman or to make a move for another defenseman to shore up the defense of this team. But it's an interesting idea. Let me know in the comments what you think about possibly moving off of Mika Zibanejad. Again, I think it's probably more likely at this point that is going to be Chris Kreider that they move off of to free up that salary cap space to then do something with the defense. Do they even sign K'Andre Miller? Let me know in the comments too if you would sign K'Andre Miller. Not so sure I would at this point. You would have to get something for him. It would have to be a trade, and of course he's an RFA, so you hold his rights. But going forward, I don't know. I feel like there's a big retool here from everything we're hearing the last couple of days, that maybe there's a big retool coming for the defense core. But again, you can't lose K'Andre for nothing. You either sign him or there's a big trade in the works. So that's it's either or at this point. You either sign him, because losing him for nothing would just be bad asset management again from this organization. So we'll see what they end up doing. Let me know what you think in the comments about Mika Zibanejad possibly going to the Montreal Canadiens. I think it's pretty ridiculous, but again, I think it's Chris Kreider on his way out. Do you even want any of them traded? Let me know down in the comments that as well. But if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.